Hey, how's it going, everybody? About 4 days ago, we had a conversation about how a certain pro found out in the middle of a tournament that he was being kicked from his team. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can go check it out. But it's about Retals and Space Station Gaming. And what people fail to realize, and there was a lot of scrutiny about this, is there's always two sides to every story, sometimes more, candidly, because there is Retals' situation, there's Arsenal's perspective, and then orgs or coaches or people who are kind of the outside and having a first-person perspective on this. So one of the things that I will candidly say is, luckily, a lot of the other community members like Fireburner and others have stated, like, a lot of people are going after Arsenal, but they haven't even heard like his perspective on the situation. So I was telling my community, we're over at twitch.tv/Lawler hanging out, about kind of taking a step back, like, be reserved with your judgment, whether you want to or not, but be respectful of the situation, let it all play out, see how it goes. And that's why we're kind of doing a follow-up here. So Retals has put out a video about 5.5 minutes talking about his perspective on it, his thoughts, his takes, how it came to be, and provides a little bit more insight. If you guys would like to go watch that video, it'll be linked in the description down below. But there is some things that he kind of goes in circles about and kind of reiterates even with the jump cuts. I'm going to try to summarize this as simply as possible. So he plans and basically starts out the video and says, hey, it's not going to be goofy. We're going to talk about how things went down from my point of view. So this is from the point of view of Arsenal, and I'll try to provide some perspective on it. So the biggest thing that he emphasizes is that there is a lot of speculation about what and how it happened, and a lot of rumors that he wanted to answer. So the first thing that he really talks about is why. Why did it happen? How did it come to be? And he talks about, hey, when a player comes into your team at an initial point, where we talk about the kind of like honeymoon phase of a team, where everything is sunshine and rainbows, you got a new teammate, everybody's vibing, things are great. Like, we decided to go with this player because the chemistry is good on the field, and talks about that. You know, we've got a refresh mentality, and that, you know, Retals, despite being a great teammate for 2 years, definitely had its ups and downs. And these are the things that we don't get to know. We're not privileged to hear. So on both the side of Retals and Arsenal, it is good for them to inform us of this situation, because this is candidly not, like, we don't have to know this. Like, they could have easily just been like, hey, this is between us, none of you get to know. Like, it is what it is. People can speculate and say whatever the heck they want, but this is between us. So the fact that they are letting us in on it is nice. And again, I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. I'm not going to speculate otherwise, because again, none of us were in that situation. So if both Retals and Arsenal can be bigger people about this and have this conversation and support and then go their separate ways, why can't we? So talks about, hey, mentality was refreshed at the start. Great teammate over 2 years, had its ups and downs. And over time, stuff started to trend downwards due to, and what seems to be the core issues for this, they had a difference in opinion on how the game should be played, the way that they should be coached, all that type of stuff. So what it seems like is, over time, you had Arsenal had a different play style in the way he wanted to be coached, and you had Retals with a different play style and how he wanted to be coached. So you have two people that are trying to approach and be taught in different kind of mindsets. And because that creates this turmoil and this clash of like, hey, I want to do stuff this way, I want to do stuff this way, and they can't come to a collective or a common ground of that understanding. And while they may compromise, long term, it does create a little bit of animosity from what it sounds like. This then led to Arsenal stating, like, the frustration with this is that while it wasn't an ideal situation, Retals would, quote, come off a bit passive aggressive, which then would translate to scrims. Things would come across a little bit poor, and then that would carry over into tournament play, which then lead to them not winning any events and all that kind of stuff. So again, we talk about the chemistry and the interpersonal connection and the relationships you have with a team. From the outside perspective looking in, for a lot of us, it felt like, hey, these are boys, like they get along great, they're homies, like everything's going well. But again, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we just aren't privileged to know. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't get to know, and they're trying to do their best to be successful. Because of this like animosity or this passive aggressiveness, it led to some lack of motivation with the team. And no matter what they did, it didn't really come out as a positive because of the arguments and the gameplay differences. This then led into the second part of the video for Arsenal, where he talks about, hey, there's a lot of rumors and misconceptions going on about the V1 series and how he wasn't like fist bumping his teammates and everything. And he talks about how this had nothing really to do with the fallout. There are certain players, and Arsenal isn't the only one. I know Astral is the exact same way, where Astral has communicated with his team, yo, when I am locked in and when I'm trying to play, I am in my own bubble. I'm not going to celebrate. I'm not going to cheer. I'm not going to be animated. I am focused on being as good as I possibly can. Please support me. And Arsenal states, hey, like, there is certain times when I am also in that zone, or I'm trying to hit that moment that I'm focused on the match. I'm trying to crush it. I'm doing my thing. So no, I'm not fist bumping my teammates. I'm not celebrating. I'm not jumping up and being animated. I am locked into the series because there's candidly $200,000 on the line. It's a pretty big deal. It's top 8 in the world. You're trying to make Championship Sunday. I can understand removing myself from the human element and trying to be a competitor in that moment, because I've also done that same thing. So he then emphasizes, like, hey, even back in London, I didn't and wasn't fist bumping Daniel. So while people are saying this and that, like, this is my perspective on it, and it happens. It's not the case that I'm, like, upset with them. I'm focused on trying to win. A lot of people saying that they kind of blindsided Retals, and this is kind of where I defer from Arsenal on, which he talks about in the end, which I'll get to. Everybody on this team apparently knew that there was a possible change at any time because of the animosity, because of the complications, because of the things that have been going on. Everybody kind of knew that there was a chance that things could change, especially with the way the team was trending. The contrast to that is the way that Retals found out is never okay. So there is a difference between the coaching style, how they want to be coached, the different perspectives, and how it may not seem like a big deal to the outside perspective, but internally, that stuff then kind of starts to snowball, and you see the effect it has in tournament play. You see the effect it has in their scrims, the way that they're practicing, the motivation to show up on time, and all the, like, it may seem like a small thing to the outside perspective, but it definitely carries through and snowballs over time. So things then start to get petty, nitpicky, and just, there is, like I said, that animostic approach to your teammates and how things are pursued. And candidly, which I got to stop saying candidly, it's become a trigger word, but like, there becomes a point where you can't really hide it anymore, and it becomes pretty noticeable, I would say. So he does make it pretty clear in the end that he is always trying to play to win. He's not trying to throw. He is definitely giving it his best. I don't even know why this is a point of conversation. The guy was literally throwing up blood and throwing up in between individual games. Like, I'm so surprised that the general public even thought that he wasn't trying. Like, the guy literally was sick, throwing up, and still playing. Like, he hit the double touch to win that series, and people think he's throwing on, like, I don't understand that. Like, if he really wanted to throw, he could have just been like, I'm sick, and then not shown up. So I don't really get that. I don't know how it's even part of the conversation, personally, based upon what I saw earlier in the tournament. And if you're gonna play through that, why wouldn't you try to your best when you're, I don't know, just kind of a weird situation. So at the very end, he talks about it during the later parts of the tournament is when they started voicing their thoughts to other players. He talks about how we started expressing the desire to get rid of the player and all that kind of stuff. I don't know who we is. It is very obscure on who we is. It is Arsenal and others, but they were voicing their opinions about kicking Retals from the sounds of it, and that's how it made its rounds. We still don't know who let them know. I can tell you there is some people that Retals is very friendly with in the space, and that is probably how I got back to him. But he does apologize. Arsenal apologizes for doing that, regrets how it was handled, says sorry to Retals, and says the way he went about it is inexcusable, and wishes him the best in content in pro play. So again, this is more so just a follow-up video on the whole situation of the Arsenal side of the story, but it goes to show that we do not always know the whole details. I will say my own thoughts and opinions on it is I do agree there was a lot of things behind the scenes that people do not know about how these decisions come to be. But no matter what it is, as Arsenal has apologized for, there's no excuse to be talking to other players, other people about it. As soon as they got eliminated from the tournament, it should have been a, hey man, like, it's been a good run, but we're thinking about making these next steps. We're trying to let you know as soon as possible, especially with everybody here, so you can go and communicate, network, and try to find a new spot, let people know. But this is a thing that is, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth. It's, you never want to find out from other people. We see this happen more often than not, unfortunately. There was also another, was it Nolly? I think Nolly found out through like rumors that were put out rather than his own team. That is not a good feeling as a player. I'm glad Nolly's on the other side of it, and hopefully Retals does the same thing, but and finds a new team to be successful with, one that suits his play style and that he coordinates a bit with better. But super TLDR, internal issues based upon play style differences, which leads to animosity and arguments and pettiness, which then translates into gameplay, which causes lackluster results and frustration and everything else. Therefore, unfortunately, player starts talking about replacing player after matches are wrapped up. And Unfortunately, that means that a player finds out that they're being kicked from somebody else rather than his own teammate. So apologies were given and everything else. And that's the way it is. So that is the hopefully end all to be all for this conversation. And now we can focus on what are the next steps for the new players, their teams, and everything else moving forward. I think people are entirely able to make their own decision and their own opinion, whether you want to love or hate somebody or any of that kind of stuff. I do recommend still being respectful, but there is a way to dislike somebody and not just completely talk ish about them all the time. You can be like, hey, I don't like this player, therefore I'm no longer going to support them. And that's just as easy as just like, it's honestly the easiest option. Like, rather than going on social media and putting them on blast and typing and being a keyboard warrior, it's so much easier to just not say anything and be like, hey, I don't support them anymore. That is what it is. Simple as that. So that is the approach and the way I recommend doing it. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, how you feel about the situation now that we have both sides of the situation. Obviously, there's still some pieces that we don't have about who is who is communicated, who informed Retals of said situation. And I don't think we're ever going to know that, and that's fine. So that is what it is. That is the both sides figured out to update you guys on the internet, because a lot of you were wondering what the other side of it was. I will say that Retals is going to have another video specifically about this situation coming soon. So go check out his social medias and everything else there if you want to know more details from his side in detail, because he was pretty minimal with it in the video that he has talked about it. But to my knowledge, he does have another video coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. But this is going to wrap it up for me on this channel in the whole Space Station Retals Arsenal situation. So with that said, if you guys enjoy the content, as always, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications. It helps me out greatly trying to hit 50k subs. And come join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lawler. We got everybody in chat hanging out. We do this every day but Tuesday and Sunday. Some people think this is actually live, like not a live video. They think this is actually a YouTube video, but this is happening live. I can literally read your guys' names: Javi, Wendy, Hermes, Burix, Gizmock, Moxie. This is live. This is happening as we go. It's just we're trying not to make too many mistakes to help with editing purposes. And I am not lying. So with that said, we're out of here.